Hi everyone, welcome back to Sam Dean's channel. I am Sam Dean, and today I am talking to you about how I snuck into New York Fashion Week as an absolute nobody.
I just snuck into Rebecca Minkoff's New York Fashion Week presentation. Okay, there were so many celebrities. There was Rebecca Minkoff herself, her whole family. There were a lot of people from The Bachelorette, all these cool fashion bloggers. It was so cool. I can't believe I got in. So keep your New York Fashion Week dream.
And I mean this as a nobody. I have not even 600 Instagram followers. I have 800 followers on TikTok. I do not have a following. I am nobody. But with a little bit of confidence and a lot of finesse, you can sneak into any fashion week. I got the idea to go to Fashion Week maybe 3 weeks before New York Fashion Week. I had just heard that it was happening. Obviously, I knew what New York Fashion Week was, but I had never been. I am not part of the fashion industry at all. I work in IT. I started by looking at the calendar of events for New York Fashion Week and got the PR contacts for all of the designers. Most of the designers' PR contacts became available on the New York Fashion Week official website about 2 to 3 weeks before the shows, and I think about 2 weeks before is the best time to email. I've seen other people saying you should email earlier, but with 2 weeks left, the companies are going to be making sure that their lists are full or even over full, so that way there's absolutely no empty seats. And this is a good time to kind of swoop in where they may be unsure if they're going to fill the show with the high profile clients and be able to fill in some of those seats. Once I had all of the PR contacts, I put them into an Excel spreadsheet. I did this so that way I could copy all the emails and write one email rather than writing a whole bunch. Once I had all of the emails comma separated, I copied them into mail in the BCC field. A really key tip that I think probably helped me secure a few shows was I emailed from an external email. So rather than use my own personal email, I created a new email with the name of my Instagram.business. I emailed from the point of view of an assistant. So rather than saying, "Hi, I'm Sam, I want to go to your show," I emailed and said, "I have a client who is interested in attending your show." I still used all of my own socials and information, but I just represented myself in a way that came off as more legitimate, as if I had a assistant or VP of public relations. With this email, I probably had about 90% rejection. I had 2 shows that sent me an invite, and the rest either didn't get back to me, but maybe 50% got back to me and said, "We're sorry, we're at capacity, we can't take your client." Another key piece to this was I already had an ongoing blog, but if you don't have one already, I would quickly make one at WordPress and create a few posts that show that you're passionate about the fashion industry. None of these agents or PR contacts are going to actually be looking deep into your blog. So just write up a quick few posts. You can backdate them a bit so it looks like you have some history on the blog, and do this all for free. Once some more time passed and I got closer to Fashion Week, about 2 to 3 days out from the start, I sent another email to all of the companies that either didn't get back to me or said that they were at capacity, and just sent a nice follow-up email saying essentially, "Hello, I'm just following up. If there have been any openings, my client is still extremely interested in attending your show." Through this method, I got an invite to 1 additional show, so it wasn't super successful, but it got me 1. And for someone with no following, getting 1 more when I was only attending 2 was huge. Once you do get your foot in the door and get an invite to 1 or 2 shows, it is fantastic networking. So I was just very friendly and was talking to the people I was sitting next to and asking them about what shows they were going to. I started to build up a network of other smaller content creators and people who were passionate about fashion. I found it very easy to share events with them and have them share events with me. So rather than saying, hey, do you know about any shows going on? I started off the conversation by saying, hey, I'm so glad we could connect at XYZ show. This is the after party that I'm attending, and I would send them the invite for it and say, this is the person that I contacted to be able to get there. I think if you just show up, you'll be good to get in, things like that, and tried to help them out. And then from there, people were usually very willing to say to me, oh, okay, cool, this is the other party I'm going to or the other show I'm going to. Most people I found to be pretty receptive, and if you help them, they'll help you out. But for some people who are maybe more quiet about where they were going to next, I just kicked off the conversation by saying, here's the after party that I'm going to. What are you doing the rest of the weekend? And asking them about just being interested of what shows are you going to, where are you seeing, rather than ask people necessarily, oh, how do I get into that, or who did you email? I just tried to show genuine enthusiasm for them and say, oh, that's really awesome that you got invited to that event. Did they reach out to you? And just using it as a networking and not as a trying to get ahead opportunity. And I found a lot of things fell into my lap that way. Part of this as well was that through talking to people that I made friends with, I found a lot of locations for shows, even if I wasn't able to actually get myself an invite. And this is the really key part for when you're not a huge influencer. Being around at the right place at the right time can mean quite a bit. So there's 2 different ways that I went about sneaking in. First is to hang around the shows. Now, if you're hanging out near Fendi, there probably won't be extra seats, but especially for smaller designers, there's a lot of people that don't show up even though they may have RSVP'd. So I have heard of people being asked just from the street to come in and take up space. This personally didn't happen to me, but I did find I could go up to some shows and say, hey, I'm really interested in this show. Is there any extra seating or standing room in the back where I could be able to see it? And showing them the content that I had created to prove myself as a legitimate creator and as someone who is genuinely interested in fashion. The second way is the more sneaking in way. And I'm not saying this is bad to do by any means, because clearly a lot of these brands do have the room and do have the capacity to accommodate other people, but they are simply keeping it closed off to people who aren't providing a benefit for them. And I understand that it is business, but if you have the room, why not share it with people who are interested? I'll give you an example of something that I did, and you can decide if it's for you or not. I went to a designer show, which I had found out the location of through one of the people I was talking at an earlier show. I showed up, I had no invite, and there was a huge long line of people. It was a rather big name, like you would recognize the name. And I had an email from the brand from when I had emailed them in the previous steps where they had said, thank you for your interest, but we don't have enough room at this time. I took that email and forwarded it to myself. Now, if you know anything about forwarding an email, it'll copy everything over and you can actually edit the words. So when it was forwarded from me to me, the words changed from we're sorry we don't have enough room to yes, you're confirmed, we'll see you there. I waited in line to go into this designer show and I was shaking. I was so nervous. I was by myself. I thought for sure this wouldn't work. People at the front of the line were scanning a QR code to get into the event. But I had my alibi of sorts, and I was going to play dumb and say, oh, I don't know, this is all that my agent sent me. This is all that I have. Like, I don't know. This is the only thing that I have. And that was going to be my plan, to try to save myself from embarrassment. So I start walking up the line, and I know that they're scanning QR codes, and I get the email up, and the person at the door looks at my phone and sees the email and says, okay, go to this person and they will check you off the list. And it was someone slightly behind them. There's a whole bunch of people coming in. It's kind of chaotic, and I knew I wasn't on the list. So with confidence, with gusto, I said, okay. And as I walked in, I just kept on walking. I just followed the path and made it look like I knew where I was supposed to be. And that's how I snuck into a really big designer's presentation. Now, keep in mind, if this was a show where there were seats, try to lay low. Don't sit in a seat, stand at the back, and then once the show gets close to beginning, if there's seats available, then you can fill in. Try to not cause a scene, don't cause a ruckus, and just try to enjoy the fashion. So those are all my tips for attending Fashion Week / getting into Fashion Week. If you don't have a lot of followers or necessarily an invite, I hope that this was useful. This was just for New York Fashion Week. This was my first year going, and I had so much fun. And I'm hoping that you'll share any of your tips down below. Like I said, talking with other people and networking is absolutely how I found out about where events were and what was going on. So feel free to follow me on my Instagram. And of course, come next Fashion Week, I will be posting where I'm at and different times for things. And you are welcome to message me and ask me where I'm going to, and I will share the location. I hope that all of these tips are helpful, and hope you have a very happy rest of your fashion month. And until next time.